All right, we're recording. So welcome back, everybody. Hope you're suitably rested, that you didn't go party all New Year and go had some more day in faraway places, but kept safe. And so, yes, I basically rescheduled this workshop to the second week because I thought maybe it's too early to go straight away after the break. And also I'm hoping that you've had a bit more time to think about your video projects, your rough cuts, and that you've had good discussions and you have a plan of how you're going to get to the final cut by the end of this month. So you've got 2 weeks left. And so this week, Luis is just going to go over some of the technical aspects. And then next week, Kit and I are going to talk about some of the sort of more artistic side of using music or the titling that you see commonly used in blockbuster movies, etc., and a few other things. So, but those are the last 2 sessions that we have in terms of lecture material, and also what we like to do, and it really depends on who's ready to do that with us, is actually have a look at where you are with your video, and that means actually accessing the Adobe Premiere program. But actually I can't see Niels. Niels isn't here. And he's he's just arrived. Good. So and I don't know who is going to be able to, whether anybody from the signature team will also be able to show us your desktop and your Adobe Premiere. But anyway, if you can, we'd like to do that later. Just, you can talk us through, show us what it looks like, talk us through where you are, talk about what you're struggling with. That would be really quite helpful. Okay, so anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass over to Luis now, and he's going to give you a short presentation, and then after that we'll go into this reviewing of the status of your video projects. Luis?
Okay, yeah, good to see you guys again, the ones I can see, like 4 only. So for this time, I will follow up a bit on what we saw in my last workshop, which was about editing. I mean, it was such a short limit to talk about so many things. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go to some of the topics that we didn't touch upon so well or so deeply last time. Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, can you guys see my presentation? Yes, good. Can I see your names? Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, so it's a continuation, it's the editing and production workshop. And as always, please feel free to jump in or raise your hand, and you can ask questions while we are talking. I think we're going to have a bit of time today, a bit more than the last time. So just go ahead and do that. So for today, what I am thinking is that you guys in the stage that you are, you may be having a bit of difficulties to take some big decisions. Like, for example, I know there's a team that has some issues with audio with some interview. So what do we do about that? Or maybe your edit is a bit too long and you want to make it shorter, but you are very attached to this extra 1 minute of edit that you have there. How can you take this difficult decision of, yeah, we're going to cut all this out and it's fine, kind of thing. And also a few tips and tricks to improve your edit. So these 2 things, I think this will help you at the time that you are now. So I want to talk about these topics today, about getting organized for starters. And I talked about some of these things the last time, but maybe this was not, maybe this didn't make as much sense as it's gonna make now, because now you are really deep into the edit. No? And in what happens if you don't get organized, for example, is that you have a mess in different areas and levels of your project. And this can be problematic and cause you can even like lose footage, for example, that you don't even know that you have it, or these kind of things. So we'll look into that. We're going to talk again about the workflow and how a script and a storyboard can help you. And then a few principles, tips, and tricks for you to move forward. Okay, so on the topic of getting organized, there's basically three places where you have to get organized, and this is how I do it. And in all of these things, there's not really one good way to do it. This is the way I do it, and it works and it's good, I think. So this is one way I suggest you to get organized, right? So number one, on the left, upper left, you have on the Finder, you have to be organized with all your media. So the way I organized is I just have a folder for video, another folder for audio, other folder for Premiere. And basically that's it. You know, I have a folder for archive where I throw in things that I don't need anymore, that I'm not gonna touch, but I don't wanna delete them. I threw them in this archive, and in this reference folder, I put whatever for example, if you went to interview somebody and they gave you a PDF, or they send you a PDF, they send you photos, whatever, you can put it in the reference folder. And you will notice that I use all capital letters for folders. I use all small caps for files. Okay. Here on the right upper hand, it's inside Premiere in my project bin. I have a very similar thing of what I have outside. So again, I have video, audio. I have another thing that it's called edited sequences. Once you start editing sequences, you put your sequences there and you keep numbering them sequentially. Instead of just having one sequence that you keep editing, I just, almost every day I create a new timeline that it's a copy of the timeline that I'm editing. And so I keep a track of all these changes that I'm doing. Does it make sense? It's as if you're writing a paper and then you just keep all the versions, right? So, but I don't keep it outside of Premiere, I keep it inside in different timelines, basically. So again, you see that it's organized, right? So if we can see your Premiere project, we can see how you are doing your organization. And then finally, number 3 is how you get organized in the timeline itself, okay? So again, here you can do whatever organization works for you, but what works very well for me is this type of organization here that you can see by tracks. So each track has one specific type of content, okay? So for example, you see in the track V1, you cannot see my pointer, right? It may just go out. Can you see my pointer now? Yep, okay, maybe that's better. Okay, so, okay, so here you have your timeline. And in the track, so I organized it by tracks. In video track 1, I put all the interview content, okay? In video track 2, I put all the other content that you are going to illustrate the interviews with. So for example, if we are talking about the dancers project, you have the interview of the guy that will be on track 1. And if you are gonna have dancers on, you are gonna, okay, he's gonna talk about the first time he went dancing. Okay, you're gonna put some dancers on top of that. I put it on track 2, okay? I do that because you are kind of covering that interview with that footage, right? So like here you see this part that I have here is covering the interview, but then here you can see the interview, right? So if we play that clip, we would see a bit of B-roll and then we would see the interview and then we'll see B-roll again, okay? So I put all the B-roll on that track 2. And then on track 3, 4, I would put the text or other graphics, okay? Sounds very simple, but it's very easy to make a mess again. You know, even me, I following this after a while, I already making a mess. I'll bring it back to this thing. You know? Especially if you are collaborating with other people, being organized is very important, because you can understand your mess, but other person is not going to understand your mess, right? So, and for audio, it works similarly. The interviews track is normally it's going to have 2 audio tracks, right? So you will have the first video track is going to be the interviews, and the audio track 1 and 2 is going to be your interview audio. All right. Then on the video side, you have the B-roll. Similarly, you have the B-roll 2. That's going to be maybe track 3 and 4, because again, it's going to be maybe 2 tracks, right? Then after that, you have the music, if you have music, and then you will have the voiceover. So it doesn't matter on which track, but you just have to be consistent with your arrangement, right? Just keep consistent and keep doing it in this way, right? And actually, when you are working professionally, they will ask you to deliver this in a specific way, and even a lot more complicated, right? They will ask you 16 tracks of audio where this audio is organized like this way, right? When you are delivering projects for professionally, right? So I don't know, how are you guys? Are you guys following some sort of organization, or are you guys just doing kind of whatever? What is your approach? I don't know if somebody can chip in and say some comment. Anybody wants to?
Yeah, sure. I can share how I do it, I guess. In our case, we immediately put footage into different folders that have names comparing to the scenes that they are, or related to like global atmosphere and all. So this way, it's really easy to find a specific scene linked to like different type of place that we work, because we went to different places. And as for the timeline in Premiere, we have mostly 3 different like layers, I guess. One would be for the audio, where we put actually like the audio that we want to put. The other one is only for the interview that passes. And on top of this one, if we want to add footage to illustrate the interview, we have like a 3rd layer on the project.
Okay.
So
like
that's
you
it.
guys have some sort of organization. Maybe we can take a look at your project a bit after, right, Brendan?
Yeah.
Maybe after you finish your talk,
yep.
We'll ask Niels and anyone else who can to show us your program.
Cool. All right. So you can keep this idea and implement it in your project later to from this type of organization, and we can even give you a screen like an image of this thing for later. Okay, so this is one important point. Be organized. Then the second aspect is how to help you keep moving on the workflow that you have to do, right? And I am imagining that it can get a bit confusing, like what to put where, and shall we move this here? And it's difficult to visualize all your content at once or to map it clearly. And when you are taking big decisions, where to move something, shall we move this here? Will that work better? It's difficult just to do it by talking about it, especially if you are a very visual person. I am a very visual person, so I really need to see the whole thing laid out as in a map, right? So what I do, it's at the beginning of the project, I would put all the content. If you see this, the upper side graphic there, this is more at the beginning. I would kind of throw in all the interviews that I am semi-selected, and for good measure, because I am a visual person, I wanna very easily see who said that. I put like literally the headshot of the people in the interviews, and I put kind of the interview. Okay, so that's the kind of material that I have. And then I take screenshots of representative footage of the different scenes that I have, right? That's what I have here on the left, right? So Here on the left, I have these B-roll scenes. You don't have, it doesn't have to be everything, but just representative things. You know, maybe a shot that you liked, you can take a screen grab and put it there. And the interview, because that's what you have, right? You have interviews and you have images of the situation, and now you have to mix them in some good way, right? So when you do this kind of thing, you start to see, it's easier to see how things connect, or how what things go well with each other, right? So I start with what you see on top, and then I bring it to what you see down below, right? So I see, okay, I'm gonna use, I'm gonna make four scenes, say, like in this example. This is from an event. This is a project that I am still editing. It's an event I did for startups. Actually, it's a startup pitching event. So okay, I took many interviews. So these are the interviews. So I'm gonna use that, like for number one, which is the introduction. I'm gonna use the interview of this guy, and I'm gonna show this kind of footage. For scene number two, where we talk about, this is a nice location. I kind of map what are the topics that this guy is gonna talk, and I put some of the footage that we are gonna use on that. So I make my movie like this. So I am already seeing my whole movie there, right? I don't need to watch the movie again. I don't need to explain in a very lengthy way what goes first, middle, and end. You're already seeing there what you have in the movie, and you can easily move them around. You can see, oh, maybe now we have the number 3, maybe should become the number 2. It makes more sense because you discover that there's some connection with scene 1, and together one flows better into the other. Okay, let's do that, or let's try it. Yeah, it looks, you can even assess just by looking at the storyboard, right? You don't have to go and edit to have a feel for it. So like, okay, that kind of makes sense. Let's edit it, right? But this is super helpful. And the software I use to do that is, this software. It's called Miro. It's basically a brainstorming software. There's many of those, but this one I really like. It's called Miro, like the painter. So you can just, for example, I say, yeah, this number 3, yeah, that does not work there. I'm gonna put it like this instead, and I'm gonna take out this thing. Doesn't work. Okay, now this number 3 is number 2. Ready. No? So you already move them around. This shot I better put here. Doesn't go well at the conclusion. This kind of thing, it's super useful for me. Okay.
Is it free?
I think there's a free version. I think I'm using the free version actually. You just, yeah, it's free with some limitations, but you can do a lot with the free one.
And is it mainly for storyboarding? I can see the title is My First Board there, but is it software that's set up storyboards?
Not for storyboards. It's like a free flow brainstorming, note taking, whatever. But it syncs too. It's online. You can use it on the web and on the desktop, and it's always synced. So you can also share with other to work remotely, basically.
Okay.
So a team member could move things, and it syncs on your own. It's always on sync. So it works well for collaboration, basically. So I really recommend that one too. Okay, so once you have this kind of idea, more or less idea of what you're doing, in parallel, what I'm also doing is a script. So a script, you start producing it from the interview transcript that you did. I don't know if you went ahead and did transcripts of the whole interviews. That's kind of what I do. So you can just copy paste things from the interviews, right? On your script here. And again, you see that is super basic. There's not like, I mean, there's some very professional formats, but they just made it up. Also, you can just make up your own format for me, as long as it has the scene number and title to give me an idea and what's going on here. Like I keep using these little thumbnails of the footage that we're seeing, because for me, I can very easily see who's gonna say that thing, right? So on the left here, there's a very basic one. And on the right, it's a little bit more complicated, that you can have the audio separated from the image and the time code even. Maybe once your edit is a little bit more developed, you can do something like this where you time, when you include the time code. I don't think including the time code is so important actually at the beginning, but you can see the image and the audio together like this, and it can be useful too, right? Like, okay, here we're gonna hear this guy saying these things, and I wanna see this kind of thing on the images, and you go like this back and forth. So it's very similar to the storyboard, but this is on a text format, right? So both have their advantages, and I kind of do these two in parallel, right? Are you guys making a script actually, more or less?
Okay. I see some nodding and some kind of not nodding.
Some like heavy breathing.
shaking their head.
Okay, so I recommend you guys do this, because it's very useful. And I tend to do it in Google Documents because I am often collaborating with other people, and then it's easy to share. And it's always updated and on sync. I use a lot these web-based collaboration tools actually. Okay, so once you have that, I'm gonna show you another one. I mean, we saw this type of a storyboard. Another type of a storyboard that I'm doing more and more lately, when your edit is more advanced and you're just tightening up things, I actually go ahead and take a screenshot of the timeline in Premiere, and then I put it inside the brainstorming software. And then I start to see what am I doing in this timeline, right? So if my movie is two minutes long, to what am I giving predominance? Basically, I put the timeline, and I then put a bit of footage of what it's in there, and I divide it by scenes, basically, right? As you can see. So I have, for example, in this one, there's like 8 little scenes, and I put a little bit what it's in each scene, and how it is, on what time it's falling. And when you are cutting very precisely with the music, it's also very useful because you can see actually what's going on with the music. If the music is going very low or is going up, then you must think about what you're gonna do there, right? Because you cannot just keep going as if nothing happens if the music suddenly changes from very soft and quiet to it's like a party situation happening. Something has to change in your edit too, right? Something happens, so yeah, I think you know what I mean, right? Also, you can see what are you giving predominance to, right? So if you are thinking that you are going to balance 2 topics, but then 80% of your cut is dedicated to one topic, it's very easy to spot. And you say, yeah, no, maybe we should cut that a bit and add a bit more of the other thing. You can see very clearly where you are putting things. So again, it's just helping you visualize what you're doing and take decisions, right? This one also has been very helpful lately, especially with edits that are very tight to the music. No, it's not always the case, but when you are really cutting very tight to the music, like for example, a short piece or a commercial that is 30 seconds and is really to the music, you have to see what's going on, right? So this one also, I find it very useful.
Is that just for your own use, or do you share that with the client or with the other members of the production team?
If I need, I can share it, but I tend to share it more, for example, with my editor. I often edit myself, but I also hire editors, and then I have to be very precise to what I am asking them to do. So the more precise I am, the better job they will do. So yeah, with the editor, I would share this kind of thing. It's maybe more with the team more than with the client, but with the client it can work too. But it's more with the team.
Okay.
Right. So I don't know if there's any question on these kind of things. So far, so good. Okay, so we can review these principles the ones we see your movies. Okay, so then a few basic but very important and principles that can actually go very deep too. No? So I was also thinking about this after the review of your cuts last time, and trying to think what I could tell you that would help you improve these edits too, right? So one very basic thing is that things have to match. You know, number one, things have to match. You know, so if you have some type of visual, it should match with the audio that you have, for starters, right? So if your interview or in your voiceover, it's saying that, oh, in Osaka, it's a great city with lots of people. Well, we want to see kind of what you are talking about, right? We don't want to see another city, for example, right? That you may think it's crazy, but that happens, right? You are starting talking about some city, and for whatever reason, you are adding footage of other city because you think it makes sense, but actually it doesn't, no? Doesn't match. So what you say has to match what you see. That's very basic, of course, but also the mood should match, right? If you are having a sad situation, like an unfortunate situation, of course you're not going to have like a happy music and colorful text going all over the place, right? Maybe you're going to have a different type of edit. This is maybe very exaggerated example, but for other emotions, for other more subtle emotions, it should match that too, right? If you have a moment in the movie where everything gets quiet down and everybody's telling a very personal story, maybe you won't have like very flashy, lots of shots with very dynamic music going on, right? You want to quiet down and listen what this person have to say. So that's what I mean. Things have to match, right? At this very basic level. Taking that to the next level, it's that things have to connect. You know? You connect things. You know? It's actually a lot of the job here is finding these connections between things that will make your movie flow as if it's just one thing, right? Not like a collection of things that you put together, right? And for that is what these storyboards are really useful, right? So you have to find the connections between one scene and the other, so they flow into one another, right? Maybe the person that is talking at the end of one scene says something that leads into the other scene. Maybe visually you see something that would lead you into the other scene. Maybe the music connects the two scenes. These kind of connections, you have to find them, and you have to make this bridge between elements in your movie, basically, right? It's kind of similar at like matching, no? And yeah, simplify is maybe a third principle. Sometimes, especially maybe in an academic context, we try to say everything, right? Especially scientists, I think they want to be thorough and they want to say everything, right? They want to cover all the points, no? Even the very small ones, they have to say it, no? Because that's how you do in the academic world, maybe, right? Sorry, my phone is going on. You don't want to leave any loose ends. You want to address all the issues, all the points. You don't want anybody saying, yeah, but what about that, right? And academics tend to do that. But in movies, we don't do this. In movies, you go kind of the other way. You simplify. And if you can say one thing instead of two, you say one, right? One that encapsulates the two things that you were going to say. Find one thing that says two, and you have one thing instead of two. That's good, right? So less is more in a way, right? So often the fact that you have to go on for a really long time means that you haven't done this job properly, right? You haven't got to the essence of what you have to say. Like when somebody tells you what is your elevator pitch for your movie, right? You have to, in 1-2 sentences, you have to summarize your movie. So if you have done a very good job at knowing your topic, etc., you can do that. But if you haven't, then you are going to ramble and go all over the place in a very long explanation, and at the end I will get confused, right? So it's the same in the movie. It's better to say three scenes, very clear, essential, clear, strongly, boldly, than 6 that is like kind of there. No? So less is more, simplifying. No? And then this is maybe a bit difficult to get, but on a way, it's like you are composing a symphony, right? You have many elements here, and they all have to kind of flow, right? So at an initial level, for example, you have a music that has a beat, right? Has a beat, and that's the beat of the music that you chose. So at one essential level, you could cut on the beat, right? You could every cut, every beat is a cut. Pam, pam, pam. Okay, that's one way, right? It's good. You have a rhythm and you are flowing, and it's flowing, but it has to go further than that, right? Maybe when the music does something, especially maybe somebody is opening a door, something falls, or there's many cuts. So everything has to kind of come together like this, right? It's maybe difficult to explain, but maybe we can talk about it in the context of your movie. No? But if you don't have this, things can feel very flat, actually, right? So there's no dynamic in your movie. You know, everything is cut the same, right? So there's no variety, you know. So all the time same, as opposed to sometimes the cuts are very fast and then we slow down, not so many shots, and the music goes lower. We tell something that is very deep or personal. Then again, we don't hear anything and we are just seeing cool images with a lot of music, very dynamic music. This is what I mean, right? It has to be flowing. It cannot be flat, right? Because if it's flat, it's kind of boring, you know? And boring is your enemy, right? So you have to do everything to avoid boring. Yes. And also helps you mark what it's important, right? Gives people a space to breathe, to take on the content that you already told them. Yeah, so this is very important. And we can maybe look a little bit more into that in the context of your edits. And well, there's a few more principles, but maybe I can talk about them in the context of your videos. So if you have any questions, please go ahead. This is just the presentation for today, but I hope we can talk more about this type of things in the context of each of your movies. No, but if you have questions now, just by listening to the presentation, let's talk about it. And it's nice just to have more of a dialogue, more than just questions and me presenting. No, but this is the presentation basically. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I guess then maybe we could ask each team to give us a bit of an update on where you are and the kind of issues that you're facing. And then also, if you can show us open Adobe Premiere and show us where you are there, that will also be really good. But if you can't, just basically talk about what has happened since the rough cut and what you're trying to do from now on. Okay, so
yes, and maybe whomever speaks, it will be nice if they just identify the theme and the topic, just to keep track of all the feedback.
Okay. So how about Tanvi? You talked a little bit at the beginning, so
yeah.
If you
so basically, following the feedback from the rough cut, we decided to reduce the interview content to 2.5 minutes. And unfortunately, like with the cases rising and based on simply because of time constraints, it doesn't seem like we will be able to re-record our interview. However, we'll keep the music while the interview is going on to a very minimal, just maintain some musicality and drown out the sound. And we're going to leave certain portions of the video, mostly the dance sequences, wherein there's no interview audio and we just let the dance and the music go on uninterrupted. We have B-roll footage, which we weren't able to meet the rough cut deadline and get that footage. So we'll incorporate the street footage of the streets like Sid requested. And that's pretty much it so far in terms of our actual progress. we've cut the interview, like cut it shorter to 2.5 minutes. We haven't made the video out, the entire video yet. We haven't made the new video edit yet.
Have you, has somebody worked on the audio?
Yes, Shinya is working on, we're using the already edited audio that you did.
Oh,
And Shinya's trying to make it a little bit more clear. However, as far as the music is concerned, no, we're not working on that yet because we need the video to lay it on.
okay. I mean, I just did a very, very simple audio fix. Maybe there are better programs for cleaning up audio than the one I use. All I did was I imported your rough cut into iMovie, and then in iMovie I made a very, very simple attempt to clean up the audio, to take out the noise, the background noise. But there are professional audio editing tools that could really improve the quality.
Yeah, Shinya did say that he has downloaded a free audio editing software from the internet and is working to improve the audio as much as possible.
Tanvi, is the interview is in just one video file or there's several?
Oh, it's in one video file.
Just one, so it's one shot, one take, basically.
Yes, and it was originally a 30-minute interview. For the rough cut, we reduced it to 5, and for the final, we're reducing it even more so to 2.5.
13 or 30?
30.
30.
30, okay. It's kind of long.
And it was quite interesting, but just to make the video, as you said, more concise, there were a lot of tangents. That it was very conversational, the interview. So we're removing the tangents and sticking to the one main point that the person was reiterating over and over again.
If you can put that file somewhere, I can give it a go at reducing the noise. I mean, with the Creative Cloud, with Premiere, normally you have the, what's the audio editing system in Premiere? Audition or something?
Yeah, there is a way to edit the audio in Adobe Premiere, that is.
So yeah, I can just try. I can see because I haven't heard the original noise level, but if you want to, you can put it somewhere and I can give it a try, and then I can just give you the audio file of that whole video.
That would be wonderful. I'll talk to Shinya.
Yeah, just put the original straight from the camera video file, because the audio is embedded there, or you have the audio separately?
No, the audio is embedded in the video.
Yeah, just do that. Just tell Brendan and tell me where is the link and I'll give it a go.
Okay, thank you so much.
What else? You said musical, okay.
I have a question. When you were actually, you said you were going to have B-roll going as he's talking, and one of the issues was with the background, his background while he's talking. There's the studio. So are you going to show him actually talking, or are you going to we just hear his voice and he's talking over the street?
Now, like based on the feedback from the rough cut, we were thinking of just including his voice, just because like the footage from the interview does not have a lot of depth to it. It's not that aesthetically pleasing, and it also stands out in like a bad way compared to the rest of the footage. Even like the street view of Doya Macho, the actual event, everything has like a very dark nightscapey color palette to it, and then just like a brightly lit studio just sort of stands out. So I think we'll just stick to our B-roll, because our B-roll is also nighttime B-roll. It's all like a nighttime dark aesthetic, so it'll look more cohesive.
Right. Yeah, Yeah, I mean, you have some good ideas. Well, we have to see how you put it together. These ideas of using sound, music and sound back and forth, and silence and visual sequences. I think it's good ideas. It's just how you implement it is going to make a huge difference.
Yeah.
So, yes. All right.
Just a question. Will we be doing breakout rooms today, or is it just going to be in
We're
class?
just gonna just go in this. Actually, we thought it was better for you to hear what's going on with the other projects, especially also if we can see an example of one of the projects, you can have a look at some of the challenges that other teams are facing.
Yeah. Okay. So that's about it for Dream Engine. Thank you. Thank you for your feedback.
Good. All right. So how about the Lemon Light, Niels? You look like you can share, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I should be able to. So first of all, the compared to the rough cut, it's a really different state because we actually had to rework what we were going to say and to show in the documentary based on the different critics and feedback that we got. So it's still at the very early stage because we this week we are going to get more footage of the missionary area, and this footage is going to be used to basically do everything we need to. Plus, also based on the narration, we need to work on the narrator that we want to include because the interview, as it turns out, needs some kinds of pathway into the subject that we want to do, even if it still has very good points, and it's still going to be the leading force of the documentary, I guess. So sharing. Okay.
Maybe shall we watch it too, Brendan, the cut? I
can't share on browser, unfortunately. I don't know how to. Let me see if I can do something.
Share screen.
No? Yes, but I'm on browser on the actual computer where Premiere is, so it's really bothersome. I'm going to try to do something, but yeah, as of now, our main problems are linked to audio because in order to get an actual narrative out of the interview, we have to cut mid-sentences or at least sentences while he's still speaking in a very large amount. So it sounds a bit rough when we cut at the end of what we want him to say. And as of now, we don't really know how to get around this. So could be, I don't know, find a way to make it fade into the footage that we want to get afterwards, or yeah, just find something.
Well, sometimes the way people say things is difficult to cut too, right? Depends how you say it. Sometimes you can cut and it sounds very seamless, there's no cut, but sometimes because of the way they say things, it's very difficult to do it, and sometimes impossible actually. Okay,
for some reason it doesn't work. So I'm just going to find a way to do this. Okay. So it's going to be a bit if I'm on both screens, but that's fine.
Oh, we got two.
Okay. Yeah. I'm working double time.
Yeah.
Okay, so okay.
Okay.
Seems like it's a good way to do it. I'm not really sure about it, but should be okay. Okay, so just to be sure, are you seeing Premiere?
Yes.
Right now, I'm going to expand it. There's no sound. Okay, I'm just going to cut my.
I don't know if you lost your audio there.
Okay,
no. Got you.
I'm talking on another thing.
But you have to click on one. Okay. No.
Then that should be okay. Okay. It seems like the only way to do for me would be to do this, and I can't unfortunately show the audio, which is the main problem. So that's kind of bad, I guess, but still, I really can't share over Zoom on this for some reason. So what I was going to say is that the instances that we have, so this is like the beginning of the, okay. So that's the beginning of the documentary when she's talking about one specific issue, because we are starting with a statement of him, which is kind of like an anecdote when he started first becoming a politician, because the documentary is about like poverty-stricken area. And this like sets of scene is actually something that I think it was Kit who recommended doing based on the oil documentary that we watched, where basically the main character is talking about his childhood or something that he did about the company that he had. So that's the idea that we have. So this like story that he shares about basically how much homeless people were in Missionary at some point when he started, and he remembers the exact same number. So he talks about this, and while this we're showing images of like the area, which we are going to change with the new images that we are going to get on Thursday. Then based on the feedback that you gave us, Luis, we are just maybe going to let like the information settle in, because having constant like talk is a bit too much. And this is probably when we are going to include the narrator to talk about the area and basically most of history behind it. Then the next sequence is his introduction that we are going to put into the documentary, because he does a really good job at introducing his job. Then he also mentions during also this time, so I didn't put any extra footage, but he also mentions what does he likes in missionary, which is really important. And it's like a good area to live in, remembers a lot. Then it's the other main issue that we had was including the 3 words, which are kind of like the main thing that Kit also recommended doing, like structuring the documentary around the 3 words. So basically what we have now is these sequences that I'm highlighting right now. I don't know if it's really seeable, but these 3 sequences are like 1 word each. And in between these, we are going to include images that like illustrate these sequences to, 1, let the information like breathe a bit, and 2, find a way to really illustrate what he's saying at the moment. And then the last passages is about how Nishinori could change and how he would consider the place to be a good place with a good atmosphere. The end is still a bit rough because he doesn't conclude anyway in the interview that we have. So that's also when we are going to include the narrator, like at the end of the project, to kind of put an end to the story and find a way to like really conclude the documentary. So yeah, that's it.
You're muted, Luis.
Sorry. Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's It's you have the interview selection there, right? You did a little bit more of interview selection basically. So
Yeah.
that, I mean, your idea sounds fine. We have to see how it comes together. The issue of the how to end it is, it's an issue to, has to do with at the time of the interview, right? I tend to ask them always what's their vision for the future, what will happen in 1 year, what's your dream for the, depending on the movie, but what's the future from now, and those kind of phrases tend to work really well for the end, for endings. If you don't have that, then it's like there's no conclusion kind of, but you can do it with the voiceover, like you said. So I mean, your plan sounds good. Is now you have to implement it.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you
And
have
we
a
also
shot
have to
list?
work around with the audio.
Do you have a list of shots for your next trip to the?
Yes, we do. So I'm going to find it, so it's better to illustrate. So we are going to get videos of the buildings that we had during the night, because this was an issue like with sequencing and actually making the like commentary understandable. And because also it was like making a bad sequence. Some places that he mentions in the interview are actually what he considers being like deep spots of the area. So we are going to get back there and actually film them more to maybe include this in the documentary. And obviously the main thing that we really, really need to film is the homeless area, because that's what we lack the most footage of. And that's what's really at the center of a good chunk of the interview and of the point of the movie. So
there's a place where there you can see homeless people living there, or
yeah. So we didn't show them really in the rough cut, but basically there's like this area where there's a lot of like shelters and food banks. So a lot of like homeless people are actually living there, and same with some parks and all. And when we came there, we were with the politicians. It was really, he really insisted on not making like, being too like noticeable with big cameras or anything. So we were kind of in a rush and we couldn't really get good images of these places, which led us to having a lack of footage in a way. And yes, that's basically like finding the food shelters, food banks, maybe different places with people, but it's not really safe to go there. So that's also why we are all going to go there. And
so yeah. The politician, when you went, he is the politician, right? The guy on the screen now.
Yes.
What was his argument to not shoot more slowly or more closely, or what was
safety? Maybe if the others member in the group want to share about this.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was basically just I think because the homeless people there have a tendency to come up and approach you if you're doing something out of the ordinary in that area. And so he just insisted on not being very obvious with filming, because there's always obviously privacy reasons as well. And when these homeless people are trying to get jobs, they don't really want their faces out in the open. So we just had to be kind of careful about having big cameras around. So on Thursday when we're gonna go and film, we're gonna use a GoPro to try and be more subtle, and to not, I guess, cause any trouble while we're there.
Yeah, that can be tricky, and of course you have to think of your safety first and foremost. So you have to judge it there, but yeah, there's often this type of situations, right, where it's not so, it can not, sometimes you don't want to bother the people there too, because they are in a bad position maybe, right? So you don't want to bother them, you want to respect them on one side. On the other side, some people may be dangerous to you. So there's all these issues, no? But I mean, the best movie will be shot by you being comfortably in the situation and being able to shoot properly, right? If as long as you're shooting quickly and nervously, you're not going to get good footage. No? So the best situation, if possible, is that there's some sort of representative or person there that you can ask permission to shoot. Be very open about it, and can we shoot it? Can we go? Maybe it takes longer time to do that, but then you are very you can shoot there comfortably. No? And the other option is maybe kind of what you're trying to do, to shoot like a little bit secret. Yeah, so you have to judge that. No?
What do you think about so I think it's going to be hard to get permission from like the homeless people themselves to see if we can shoot their faces, but I was wondering what you think about the idea of shooting like their areas that they're in. So when we went to the place called the IDing Center, which is an area for homeless people to kind of find healthcare or insurance or get protection from the government. There's just like piles of cardboard boxes and food scraps and stuff like around that building. And so would shooting those areas be good enough to kind of portray the image of like the situation in the city?
Well, you have to judge, but I mean, if you are making a story of people in distress, you want to see people in distress, right? Ideally, yeah. If not, I mean, you can just not have it, no. But it's just resting points to the strength of your movie, right? If you are talking about these people and we cannot really see them, I cannot connect with them, right? I don't see their suffering. I don't see how bad situation they are in. It's like, okay, yeah, it sounds like they are in bad situation, but I'm just listening your story, right? I'm not seeing. Then it rests, it subtracts points to your, not in the grade, not in the for the class. I mean, for your movie, right? It is not as strong, basically, right? So it's basically you think of the ideal thing that you can get, and then okay, we cannot do that. Let's second best, third best. What can we do? You know? But it's a matter of trying to get the best. You know? For example, if you are going to shoot a food bank, maybe you can go with the people in the food bank and talk about it. I don't know, and maybe they give you a chance. And if the homeless see you that you are with the food bank people, they will be okay with you shooting them because they are people that they trust and they are nice to them. You know? So. But it's more complicated, right? If you're going to shoot in like incognito, like secret, maybe shoot with a long lens from far away, right? And get some nice shots, but from far away. If you don't want to shoot their faces, just shoot several people at the same time, right? Don't do close-ups. Shoot like 5 or 10, a group of 5-10 people, and then that's maybe more or less okay. You know? It doesn't count like you are invading their privacy. It's very gray zone, this thing about invasion of privacy. But in general, what people tell me is like, for example, I have shot like J-League football games and I shoot the audience, but I don't do like close up of one person. I shoot like group of 5 people, right? And then they are fine with it. You know? Nobody complains. Or you can shoot from behind. Yeah, there's all these kind of ways around it. You know? But of course, the best situation is that you can be comfortably in front, shooting a good shot that you've been allowed to shoot. You know? But it may not be possible, and that's fine. No, don't compromise your safety because of this. No, but this is what we do. If this was a professional job for TV, then you have to get the shot, right? You have to get the shot, and if you don't get the shot, then you go around it, but you didn't get the shot, right? And nobody likes that. You know? The TV network is not gonna like that. The exec producer is not gonna like that. You gotta get the shot. You know? But this is an educational exercise, so you are not pressured for that. But that's kind of how it works. You know? So I don't know if you can add something to that, Brendan, but that's kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very difficult to have a video about homeless people without seeing them. And I guess the challenge then is how to do that in a safe way. maybe respecting their privacy, perhaps blurring their faces, something like that. I'm a big fan of this guy from the Guardian newspaper. It's called, the series is called Anywhere But Westminster, and the guy who does it is John Harris. And what he tends to do is he tends to sort of walk around with a camera and then he talks to people. But all of these are really social problems. So like people who are struggling with COVID or some areas that are in economic decline. When I think about your video, I sort of feel like it falls into that genre, but it's also very difficult because you couldn't go up to, or you could go up to a homeless person and say, how are you doing? how is it going with COVID? And you might be surprised that they'll turn around and say, oh, it's really, really tough, etc. But this isn't what we're asking you. I'm not asking you to do that now. I'm just saying this is one way you could have done it. I always feel this series, Anywhere But Westminster, is one of the best for showing like what's the real world like, and the way that they film it is really interesting. But what you also see is there's a conversation going on between the main guy who does the interview and then the cameraman. And so they're often talking about, oh, did you see like the housing that those people were living in? It's kind of, can you imagine having to live there? Or this town, you see how derelict it is, and all the pubs have closed, and there's graffiti everywhere. They're sort of talking about the situation. So that could be something your narrator does. Your narrator could talk a little bit about, as we walked through, we saw all of these, we saw all these cardboard boxes. This is showing, this is where they sleep, or something like that. The narrator could also explain a little bit the context of what we're seeing. Anyway, have a look at that Anywhere But Westminster series. It's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, shall we? Thanks, guys. That was really interesting. Glad to see you've responded to the feedback so far.
And great that you can show the edit even it's difficult. That's great. Yeah.
Okay, so how about signature? Can somebody update us on where you guys are? That's the gender
and equality.
Okay.
Okay, so let me check. The main problem now, we don't have Adobe.
Oh,
so but we continue without Adobe. So can I share the screen?
Go ahead.
Share copy sound. So what we did first, we upload all the videos, and all the videos have been edited with the audio. We have when we did interview, we have another microphone recorder, and then we also did the interview log.
Good.
And we also have a galleries of BO, so we know which one which. This is we named the BO, Omeda, and then this file name, and then using what camera. So because we change it to GIF, so people can just see from here. Okay, this is the picture. Okay, so we have that for all the B-roll. Since after that we did the storyboard with PowerPoint.
Okay.
So
That's good. That works.
So the PowerPoint we have essentially we have the hook part, narration, and then we have the title, and we have 3 parts of interviews. So each interview we have the time, and then which part to use, and the time here is in our mind calculation, or it should be around 1 minute, something like that. And we did that, conclusion should be around 6.5 minutes. So after we have the storyboard here, then we try to make the workflow. So I use a free software called Shortcut. So Shortcut, can you see the interface now?
Yep.
So this is the interface. I put the video here and then edit according to the storyboard.
Okay.
So I edited, And we also incorporated your feedback. Before this, our interview just showed the interview without any pictures. Now, when they are talking about work, we show the picture of their doing work. So we did that. But one problem is, our idea is that 6.5 minutes, but when we make the cut, it's 9 minutes. So what happened? So we need somehow we need to cut. We need to cut some the parts here. So yeah, it's the matter of editing. We also haven't done the narration yet. So right now, this is just in the end. For example, there should be a narration, but for now, it's just music and audio only.
Okay.
So that's it. But that's what we do without the Adobe.
And what was the problem with Premiere?
We don't want to pay. The Adobe we should go to.
Because you're working from home. Because you cannot go to the school. Right? You cannot go to the university lab.
Yeah.
We are planning to go there if it's possible to go there on this Saturday. We are planning to do it on Adobe Premiere this weekend.
But now you are doing it on this one, right?
Yes.
But this one we can. This one is maybe just a rough sketch workflow. So if the final form need to be in Adobe, we can I just can export all the videos and then they compile in the Adobe.
And we would like to know how to share the project through Adobe Premiere.
Through what, sorry?
If possible, how to share the project. So we tried to share the project through the school's laptop Adobe Premiere and also mine, but it wasn't possible. So that's why we didn't
to share what, this shortcut file or what type of file?
So, before this, one of us have a Adobe, and then they make a project. But then when that one she use it on her laptop computer, then she want to open the project at the School Design Center, and she cannot open the file from the Co-Design Center. So,
yeah, there can be like 1 million reasons for that, but possible the versions are different, and I don't know if she had all the movies, all the clips, all the elements of the project, but maybe it's a version issue. Yeah, some newer versions can open older, but older cannot open newer. And sometimes the university, I don't know, their update policy, maybe they are a bit behind. Maybe the software version you guys used first, it was newer. I don't know. There can be many.
Yeah, it said because of the.
What's that?
Yeah, it said because of the media error. The red screen came up.
The what?
Yeah.
Media error.
Media error.
Does that mean some of the files were missing?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, media error. I mean, we would need to see the error, but yeah, it's possible that not all the files were in that. Maybe you have a hard drive with your project. Is that how you're doing? There's a hard drive with everything, and then you move that hard drive from the house of the person editing to the university.
Yeah.
Maybe there are some files that were left in that computer for some reason. Yeah, without seeing the project, it's difficult to find the solution, but I think it's maybe something related to that. It's either a versioning issue of the software or there's some missing media.
Okay.
It's not a big deal. You just have to get it from that computer and bring it. But you would be able to open the project though. Maybe you just got confused because you have never seen this message. But you could still open the Premiere file even if some files are offline, we say.
Yeah, it said offline.
The files went offline. But then you just reconnect those files, or maybe you just move them you put them in a different folder, and now the Premiere cannot find them, but they are there. But they are very easily to relink.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I was telling you guys that I can have a session with any of you that want for this type of issues too. They are not complicated, but if you don't know how experience, that can be very complicated, right? Little technical issues. But now you are on this one. I mean, it's okay, but it seems like you're gonna do a lot of work double, like first editing on this one and then try to repeat it in Premiere. But well.
What's it called again? Shortcut.
Shortcut, yes, it's open source.
And unless it can export some sort of, but yeah, this is all maybe too complicated technically, but maybe you are able to export somehow something that you can open in Premiere, maybe an XML file or something.
Oh, it was safe in XML. Okay, never mind. Let's see.
Yeah. If you can export it, try first, so you don't have to work double. But if not, you may have to.
Okay. So that's it. Our update till now.
It looks good. You've been very organized, which is nice to see. And you have your storyboard and your...
Yeah, and if PowerPoint works for you, it's fine. Yeah? Something maybe if I can just share my screen quickly, Brendan, just want to share something, because what you are doing with PowerPoint, you may be able to just do with the Premiere. Because for example, say you are kind of selecting, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yes. You are selecting footage and then creating this in PowerPoint. You are putting this shot, is this name of the clip, and from this time code to this time code, you are putting all this information by hand in PowerPoint, and then you're referring to it. But actually here in Premiere, I am here in Premiere. What I often do is like a bin or a folder of selections. So this could be, for example, scene 1, no? Because you are kind of trying to select things. Then say all this footage is for scene 1, I can just bring it in here. And if you put this view that it's the thumbnail view, it's almost like a storyboard actually. What you're doing, you can see the shots that you have. So if I go back to so this is my project, and here in selections bin, I have this already, right? It's almost like a storyboard. It's my selections only, and they're already cut from the beginning and end that I want. You have the name of the file. So it's kind of what you are doing in PowerPoint. So maybe no need to do it again and use all this time, because you can do it here very quickly inside Premiere. I mean, you're not using Premiere, but that functionality kind of is there in Premiere. So you could have selections per scene, for example, like the footage outside in the street, the footage of all the interviews, all this, and you can create these bins, and then you throw the footage there, and it's already like a kind of like a storyboard in a way. Yeah, I just wanted to share that little tip.
Okay, we have one project left, which is Canvas, and that's the Okinawan story.
Canvas, onegaishimasu.
Oh, I think actually Alfredo there you are, Alfredo.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And about our progress, we have been talking on base of the comments that we got last time, and the files that we got, the critics, and we are trying to find a ways to put our ideas together. We are working on the files of the interview transcripts, and we are trying to clean up the video that we presented last time. And the issue that we are probably struggling the most right now is because, well, as you know, we have 2 editors in our team, but it has been a little bit difficult trying to put, because they work in different platforms. So we are also working on Adobe and also with another one. But we are going to move everything to Adobe. But on that, I think Susumu-san is here, so probably he could tell us more about that. In general terms, that's where we are right now, and rushing to get to in time for the deadline.
Can I share?
Please, yes.
Okay. This is my soft to edit video, but it is very troublesome soft, so it is not high quality to processing. Yeah. When I put video in the line, so it's same time, it cannot work, stop, and sometimes makes blanks. Like that. And but I signed up Adobe now. So I will recreate at Adobe. Yes.
Okay. Is that on Windows right now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's a similar problem to the signature team, is that you use how do you say that? You use the program that you're familiar with, but then you have maybe some challenges of finishing the project easily. Yeah. But if you can essentially transfer what you've done onto Adobe, that's probably the easiest thing, but there's still a lot of work to do. Yeah. I know, Luis, you're muted again.
I'm just saying, if you can export XML files from this thing, XML
file type.
Export XML. See if you can find export XML as XML.
Wait a minute.
AVI.
No, maybe MP4 and AVI files only.
And what type of files does this thing create?
AVI.
Yes, AVI.
And MP4. What was that?
Yes.
Yeah, no, but the project. What is the name of this software?
AVI util.
AVI utility. Okay.
Yes.
So when you save this file that you are working on, what's the extension of this file that you are saving for your project file? Not the file you are exporting as a video file, but your av.utility file. What is it?
Sorry.
It's
So when you are working on Premiere, you save Premiere files, right? You can export QuickTimes or AVIs or many formats of video, but your project file is a Premiere file. So this project, what this software, what type of files it creates?
This software exports the video to AVI forms, but I use this recorder and to change the files to MP4 or whatever.
Okay. Well, I don't know then. So there is, if you guys, both for the teams that are doing this kind of thing, if you can export XML files, you may be able to recover some or all of your work in Premiere, but you need to export XML files because it's an exchangeable format that you can export files from several editors and open them in a different one, right? But if you cannot export XML files, then you have to then you have to just recreate the whole thing, which is gonna be a lot of work. So you better, both of you guys better allocate a good amount, 1-2 days just to recreate your project. Huh? Maybe 2 days will be better.
Sorry, what file did you say?
Yeah, I know you keep looking on export the video file, but not your project file. Yeah, do you understand the difference? So when it's like when you are working on a Word document, you save those documents in a Word format, right? Doc, right? Doc, no? But you can export that document as PDF. So you are showing me the PDFs now, but not the Word format, right? You know what I mean?
Okay, yes.
So, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is if you can export XML, and if you can't, then XML is not a video format. It's a information format that will tell Premiere what clips you used, when, where in your timeline. It's going to recreate your timeline. Possibly.
Okay. So we can share the timeline.
Yeah, something like that. But it's not straightforward to come from this kind of software to bring it into Premiere. You know, but there's a slim possibility that you could, but most likely you will have to recreate it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Could be easy, could be a headache. We don't know for sure. The thing is that we have 2 weeks left and there's still quite a lot of work to do. How is everybody's time? I guess when we get to this stage in semester, everybody is very busy, and that's the headache there. But then the other side is that these projects, they tend to require a lot of time to get control of. Just hoping that you can allocate the time required to make the changes. There's still a few other things that we haven't talked about, like titles. You have to put a title at the beginning.
Subtitling, that takes a lot of time, actually.
If you're adding subtitles, it is fairly time consuming, although we're not expecting it to be perfect, as in perfect timing of the subtitles, but it does help to actually have the subtitles there. And also, the end, etc. And then music. Music is also something that you have to spend time working on, and making sure that the music doesn't cut off the talking and things like that. Yeah, there's quite a lot of work still to do. And I think the only thing is to really block in time to work on it. Because it's, you're kind of at the stage where you want to pull it all together in the most effective way possible. Okay. All right, then. Luis, do you have any comments before we wrap up?
No, but I will just second what you just said. There are things that you are not so familiar with doing that can take a long time, because you're not familiar, just going from one software to the other, just allocate a good amount of time for that. If you're going to recreate all that shortcut timeline in Premiere, I don't know, 2 days maybe? 2 days, maybe. Maybe you can finish in one, but allocate 2 days because you may not be able to do it so easily. Yeah? So there are leave a good cushion of time, because there are things that you are not so familiar with this process that may take long time, that you are not considering so well now. So just leave a good amount of time. Don't leave it all for last minute, because you may just not finish actually. Things that may seem very simple can be complicated. So just allocate a good amount of time, because I mean, seeing in the level that you are now.
So if you want to come over the weekends, that's fine. You just need to let me know. I would recommend that you do that. So you have basically 2 weekends in front of you where you could try to really get these projects sorted out. So next weekend is the 16-17. Maybe you should talk with your team to see if there's a feasibility of you trying to sort out most of the work that needs to be done this weekend, not next weekend, because if you leave it till the last weekend, as Luis said, then there could be lots of stuff that you struggle with.
Yeah.
And it's too late. It's kind of challenging. Luis is also happy to give you advice. So if you have some problem that you're struggling with, you can contact him directly and ask, okay, how do we, we're really trying to transfer the files. This is how far we've got. This is what we're struggling with, etc., etc. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, technical, and sometimes even for pro people, you can face some technical problem that you didn't anticipate, and that can take forever to fix, right? Even for pro people, actually, you know, like some glitch in the software or something that you don't know what's going on, you can take really long time to fix those things. So better allocate time and try to finish earlier, so that when you have these problems that you will most likely have time to solve them.
So I would recommend that you list up all of the things that you need to do. And if you need to allocate some of the tasks across the team members, then you should do that. But you should also indicate when you want to do, what the deadline is for getting these tasks completed, so that you can deliver your fine cut on the 26th. Don't leave it so that you're all working on the night of the 25th and say, oh, it's okay, we'll work all night.
Yeah, exactly. No.
It's probably much better if you can really get 99% of the thing done, so that you're making some final tweaks in the weekend beforehand. Okay, well, that's I think that's everything. Anybody got any final questions or comments? No? All good? Okay, great. I'm gonna stop recording. So we'll see you next week. Good luck.